What is humanity's ultimate fate, really? If we could avoid natural disasters, wars, and disease, and no longer worry about survival of resources, would humanity continue to exist forever and eventually evolve into a higher civilization? The answer may completely overturn what you think you know. This beautiful vision is almost impossible to achieve. The story begins with a chilling experiment conducted more than 50 years ago. In 1968, an extraordinarily imaginative American animal behaviorist named John Calhoun launched an experiment. The original goal was actually quite simple. He wanted to study whether the rapid population growth after World War II would push society into a massive resource shortage and potentially trigger another global war. But no one expected the experiment to produce a result so unsettling it would make your scalp crawl. It was like a mirror that brutally exposed the dilemmas facing human society today. Even more disturbing, the conclusions suggested that humanity might already be unknowingly carrying out its own collective self-destruction. This experiment became known as the famous Universe 25. The name sounded incredibly sci-fi, doesn't it? But in reality, it simply involved placing mice into a perfect environment. They were given zero survival pressure. This mouse paradise was a sealed luxury villa, measuring 2.57 meters on each side and 1.37 meters tall. The villa was divided into 16 zones and equipped with 256 nesting boxes. Each box could house 15 mice. In theory, it could support up to 3,840 mice. Food and water was supplied into unlimited quantities. Automatic feeders ensured food was always available. The environment was temperature controlled, humidity regulated, and regularly cleaned. There were no disease and no predators. They didn't even have to worry about bad weather. In simple terms, the mice never had to work, never had to pay a mortgage, and their only job was to reproduce. Calhoun selected 4 pairs of healthy 48-day-old mice, roughly equivalent to young married couples in humans, and placed them into the paradise. The objective was clear: to observe how a highly social species would develop when resources were unlimited but space was finite, and to use this as a reflection of humanity's potential future. At their core, humans are animals too, just a more advanced one. So Calhoun believed that the sociological patterns of animals could offer meaningful insights into human society. At the time, everyone thought the mice were about to reach the peak of mouse existence, but no one anticipated that this seemingly perfect experiment would turn into a 1,780-day apocalyptic documentary. The entire experiment unfolded in 4 tightly linked stages. Each phase was shocking in its own way. During the first phase, the adaptation period before day 104, the 8 mice that had just moved into the villa were initially cautious. Like newlywed couples in a new home, they sniffed around curiously. Their first task was to establish territory. As social animals, order had to be built. Male mice engaged in minor scuffles to determine dominance. The winners became area bosses, responsible for guiding their tough. Female mice focused on building nests and adapting to the environment, preparing to have offspring. At this stage, the mice were the very definition of hard-working strivers. They stayed busy every day with clear goals. Although reproduction wasn't extremely fast, the population still doubled every 55 days. Small family units began to form. Universe 25 appeared prosperous and full of hope. By day 104, the population was growing steadily. Social order had taken shape. Everyone had a role, and harmony prevailed. If you were watching at this point, you'd probably think this was an ideal life. Housing, food, everyone doing their part, and things just getting better. But don't relax just yet, because the plot was about to take a sharp turn as the population increased. Universe 25 entered its golden growth period. Every 55 days, the population doubled. By day 315, the number of mice had reached 620. The once spacious villa began to feel crowded, and that's when things started to get interesting. Social stratification became obvious. The strongest males occupied the best nests and resources, and reproduced at an accelerating rate. Weaker mice were pushed to the edges, forced to survival on leftovers. Matriarchal groups began to form. Young, strong mice took control, while the older generation of strivers was gradually pushed out. This looks eerily similar to modern human society. Resources may still be sufficient, but good job, quality education, and desirable housing are monopolized by a small minority. Young people find it harder and harder to climb upward. The mice's internal competition was essentially a microcosm of human society rivalry. You just want to live a decent life, but there are too many people. If you want something, you have to fight for it. If you don't want to be eliminated, you had to grind. On the surface, this phrase still looked prosperous, but beneath it, conflicts were quietly brewing. Most people failed to realize that once space becomes crowded and the competition turns cutthroat, the seeds of destruction have already been planted. Then came the third stage, from day 316 to day 560, the stagnation phase. This was when society collapsed and behavior became completely distorted. It was the darkest and most mind-shattering phase of the experiment, and the one that most closely resembles modern human society. As the population approached 2,000 mice, still far below the theoretical maximum of 3,840, their behavior grew increasingly bizarre and extreme. First came the polarization among male mice. Some turned into violent aggressors. Territory and the mating rights were no longer settled with intimidation. They fought to the death. Tortures and disemboweled bodies became common sights. Universe 25 was soaked in bloodshed. The other males completely gave up. They stopped competing altogether. They spent their days grooming themselves, keeping them firm, immaculate, moving in an orderly, effeminate manner, and showing their interest in mating or social interaction. They were called the beautiful ones. It sounds elegant, but in reality, they had seemingly surrendered. Even more shocking were the changes in female mice. Once gentle and nurturing, they became aggressive and irritable under constant stress. Many lost all maternal instincts. Some attacked and even ate their own offspring. Others abandoned them entirely, leading to a pup mortality rate of 96%. To survive, female mice left their nest and joined in the fight. They became warrior females. The traditional family structure collapsed completely. On top of that, all kinds of abnormal behaviors emerged. Same-sex behavior surged. Young mice, having grown up without real survival pressure, never learned normal social or mating skills. They could only release their impulses in a distorted way. The scene was out chaos. Some mice developed repetitive, compulsive behaviors, performing the same action over and over again, eerily similar to humans addicted to short-form videos today. By day 560, the population peaked at 2,200 mice, far below capacity, yet growth had completely stopped. Universe 25 was no longer a paradise. It had become a hell filled with violence, anxiety, chaos, and despair. If the third stage marked social collapse, then the first step was collective surrender, waiting for the extinction. From day 561 onward, the population declined steadily and never rebounded. The core issue emerged clearly. All mice lost the desire to reproduce. Male beautiful ones remained obsessed with self-grooming. and showed no interest in females. Females completely stopped giving birth, even when pregnancies occurred. The offspring never survived to adulthood. Behavior became drastically simplified. Each day consisted of only 3 things: eating, sleeping, and grooming. They were like soulless, exquisitely selfish individuals. Even more terrifying was the failure of cultural transmission. The new generation grew up in chaos. They never witnessed normal family structures, and never learned how to find, mate, or raise offspring. Calhoun attempted to place these mice into normal mouse colonies, but they couldn't integrate at all. They remained isolated, dull, and weakened, having completely lost their survival instincts. By day 920, the final pregnancy was recorded. After that, no new life was born. As older mice died off, the population dwindled. By day 1780, the last mouse took its final breath. Universe 25 returned to zero. A utopia that seemed perfect on the surface ended in total extinction. In his report, Calhoun wrote a line that sends chills down the spine. When all social roles are filled and individuals can no longer find their place, civilization is destined to self-destruct. Some might say they are just mice. Humans are far more advanced. But if you look closely, you will realize that every problem in the mice faced is one humanity is facing today, often in even more extreme forms. In Universe 25, food and water were unlimited, yet no one wanted to reproduce. Look at human society now. The more developed the country is, the lower its birth rate tends to be. The logic behind this mirrors the experiment. When mice no longer had to worry about survival, they lost the drive to reproduce. In human society, the cost of raising children is crushing. Housing, education, and healthcare weigh heavily on people. At the same time, more people prioritize personal quality of life and don't want to be tied down by children. As a result, being child-free or avoiding marriage has become common. As one joke goes, children used to be insurance of old age. Now they feel like a lifetime child. When reproduction is no longer essential for survival and raising children becomes a burden, declining birth rates feel inevitable. Isn't this exactly what happened when mother mice abandoned their pups? The beautiful ones in the experiment gave up competition and social interaction, focusing only on their appearance. Doesn't that resemble some young people today? Even issues of orientation and identity seem more prevalent now. As lying flat, minimalism, and staying home become trends, more people choose to escape reality. Social interaction continues to shrink. Surveys show that among people aged 18 to 35, 62% socialize less than 5 hours a week. They'd rather interact with pets or virtual characters than with real people. At work, they aim only to avoid mistakes and overtime. They have no ambition for promotion and no interest in grinding endlessly. This reflects the problem of role saturation, just like in the experiment, where all territories were occupied by older mouths, leaving the young with nowhere to stand. Today's young people face brutal competition, good jobs are taken, health prices are unaffordable, paths upward are narrowing, efforts doesn't guarantee results. So why not give up and lie flat? At least the life feels easier. Aren't those desire young, the human version of the beautiful ones? On the surface, everything looks calm. In reality, it's quite despair. The space in Mouse Utopia was limited, and the humans are crowding into cities. Urban population density keeps rising. In some cities, more than 10,000 people live per square kilometer. People cram into subways, over tolls, and pigeon-cage apartments. Just like the overcrowded mice, the consequences of high density are becoming obvious. Risks of anxiety and depression are skyrocketing. Trust between people is declining. Violence occurs more frequently. Just as mice became aggressive when overcrowded, humans also struggle emotionally in density environments. Have you noticed how socially anxious people have become? In elevators, they stare at the ceiling instead of each other. Neighbors live next door for years without knowing names. Friends meet up only to scroll on their phones. We are surrounded by people, yet deeply lonely. This is grounded loneliness. The mice experienced it long ago. In the experiment, strong mice monopolized the best resources, and their offspring inherited advantages. Weak mice were pushed aside, with no chance to rise. Isn't this exactly what class solidification looks like? The top 10% of the global population controls 76% of the world's wealth. The bottom 50% owns just 1.2%. Children of the wealthy enjoy elite education and networks, easily entering top school and companies. Children from ordinary families, even if they try their hardest, only a few succeed. Most never escape their class, just like young mice in Universe 25, born without territory or resources, left with no choice but apathy or violence. Some young people today, seeing no hope, either lie, fight, or turn extreme. This stems from helplessness in the face of rigid class structures. Mice in Universe 25 didn't have to forage or avoid predators, yet still lose reproductive and social abilities. Humans today, with advanced technology, are also becoming increasingly overprotected. Children are pampered from a young age, lacking resilience. As a result, they crumble at minor setbacks. Many immerse themselves in virtual worlds. Mobile games and short videos consume most of their time. They avoid exercise, avoid socializing, even avoid cooking. Their survival on takeout and deliveries. Physical health declines. Social skills weaken. Practical ability fade, just like the beautiful ones, who would do nothing beyond eating, sleeping, and grooming. Excessive comfort is quietly stripping away our survival instincts. This experiment is terrifying not because it predicts dooms today, but because it exposes human nature. We appear advanced, we appear in control, but when faced with our own weaknesses, we are disturbingly similar to mice. Mice perished in a pressure-free environment. Humans are not different. More in hardship than in comfort is not just a saying. Pressure isn't inherently bad. Appropriate pressure unlocks potential and gives life direction. Early humans hunted and farmed to survive, cooperated to resist predators. Those pressures drove evolution and created civilization. Today, material abundance has grown, but we face spiritual emptiness without survival pressure. Many lose direction and sink into anxious and confusion. Happiness doesn't come from doing nothing. It comes from striving for something. Mice are social animals, and humans even more so. The beautiful ones lost reproduction and survival instincts by rejecting social interaction. Humans are now drifting toward isolation as well. Socializing isn't just about fun. It's how culture is passed on. Skills are learned and emotional bonds are formed. Long-term loneliness damages the mind and can even erase the will to live. Rising suicide rates are closely tied to a social isolation. We see solitude is a form of cultivation, but prolonged loneliness is harm. Just like mice cut off from their group, humans become hollow shell. Modern society promotes refined self-interest. People focus only on themselves, ignoring family, society, and the next generation. Parents spend less time with children. Young people avoid responsibility. The sense of continuity weakens, just like in the experiment, where mothers abandoned offspring and the males abandoned competition, eventually ending the species. If humanity abandons responsibility and legacy, civilization will fade, no matter how rich we become. Universe 25 reveals a brutal truth. Absolute comfort and unlimited resources do not guarantee prosperity. They may become a trap. Because human weaknesses, laziness, selfishness, avoidance, greed are amplified without pressure, and in the end, they destroy society. Humanity now stands at a crossroads. Technology advances, resources grow, yet we face low birth rate, rigid class structures, social isolation, and spiritual crisis. These are simply human versions of the mice's struggles. Universe 25 was not paradise, because true happiness never comes from doing nothing. It comes from purpose, responsibilities, and love. So let me ask you one final question. If you were offered a human utopia where you never had to work and lacked nothing, would you go? Do you think humanity can avoid the masses' tragedy? Share your thoughts in the comments.